Good morning. I figured I'd be somewhat out of bounds if I didn't post something for the first day of Advent. Which is today. I'm doing a lot for Advent. I've got a Jessie tree that I'm working on. I've got an Advent nativity scene that I'm going to be doing. And I've got the Waiting Well series with Father Mike Schmitz that I'm doing also. And one of the things that I noticed was, I did a lot of food prep yesterday. I'm starting Weight Watchers this week. I went to the doctor last week and a lot of my blood tests came back ridiculous. So I have to do something or they're going to put me on more medications. And I really should have done this a long time ago. But, one of the things that's kind of helped me with this journey as far as, joining OCIA and going consistently to Mass is, the phrase, the long obedience in the same direction, which is actually a book by Eugene Peterson. I can't remember if I said something about it during the last post I did or not, but that phrase itself has been really helpful. And anytime I start to feel discouraged, I read a chapter out of that book and just kind of reflect on that. It goes through Psalms, some very specific Psalms. Of course, right now I can't even think of what those Psalms are called, but the Song of Ascent, that's what it is, because they're ascending to Jerusalem. I just read a chapter from that, reflect on it, and that kind of helps me be on track. But one of the things that I noticed was yesterday I did a lot of food prepping. Anytime I start Weight Watchers, I get frustrated pretty early because I'm hungry. So I wanted to make sure I had plenty to eat so that I wouldn't get frustrated and go off to one of the many fast food restaurants that are very close to my work. So I did a lot of food prepping. And during that time, one of the things that I really tried to focus on was not being on my phone yesterday. And I did okay with it. I know in the evening after I had finished cooking everything, I did get on my phone and played some games and stuff. But for the most part during the day, I was food prepping, chopping, dicing, all of the things. And so not so much on my phone. And one of the things that I noticed was time seemed to slow down a little bit. And that was interesting to me. Like, I got done with some of the things that I needed to get done from my food prep, and I looked at the clock and it wasn't nearly as late as I thought it was going to be. So I was like, this is interesting. And that trend just seemed to keep going throughout the day. So, I've been really trying to not be on social media. I don't keep social media on my phone. I try not to keep YouTube on my phone. I had been a couple of weeks YouTube free, but then I got back on it this weekend. I think I spent all day on YouTube one day this weekend. Which is kind of a travesty, when I think about it. Like, so much time just spent watching what other people are doing. And, that's one of the reasons why I don't post videos very consistently, because there's a push and pull for me with the videos, because I'm like, well, I'm trying not to be on YouTube all the time, watching all the videos, and yet I'm posting videos on YouTube for other people to watch. So it's it feels kind of hypocritical, but at the same time, like, I feel like there's ideas and there's things that I have in my head that I just kind of want to get out there. out to wear. I don't know. Maybe, this is kind of like a video journal for me. I don't know. More than, just trying to share everything with the world. But, yeah, and I think that's probably a much healthier way to think about it. Because I don't want to, as much as, I like people viewing my videos and liking and subscribing and all that, I don't want that to be my end all be all. I don't want to be sucked into the YouTube verse, and those are the things that I'm living for. I'm really trying to focus my focus on God and my spiritual life, and in my wellness journey and those things. So, and I think that those things are very intimately tied together. My spiritual life and my wellness journey. One of the things that I had thought about a lot about before I started going to the Catholic Church was this idea of eating foods that had the most exposure to the sun. And this kind of went back to a pagan idea that the sun was life-giving, or is life-giving, and it very much is, whether you're Catholic or pagan. The sun is life-giving. We need the sun, plants need the sun, everything needs the sun in order to live. And so my thought process was, if I eat those things that have been closer to the sun, or spent most of their life in communion with the sun, those would be healthier things for me. So, when you look at the produce section, all of the fruits and vegetables that haven't been processed and canned and things like that, those are closer to the sun than the things that are canned. The meats that haven't been frozen or processed in some way, those are closer to the sun. Even eggs, because they did come from chickens, and are not processed into things. So more of the processed foods, those are further from the sun than the fresh things, because they have been processed. They are put into boxes. So that's kind of the thought process behind that, and that's something that I'm kind of coming back to, is that now that's not to say that some of that stuff can't be good for you. Some of the canned fruits and stuff like that, depending on, the different added sugars and stuff like that, they can be good for you, and a lot of times they're cheaper too. And we're living in an economy right now where that's important, because groceries are so expensive. And I know, because I spend a lot of money on vegetables and fruits and things like that to get me through this week, and to kind of get me started on the Weight Watcher journey. So yeah, I know. So not knocking any of that, for sure. Everybody has to do their journey their own way, but that was just something that I had kind of thought about. And how does that even come back to Advent? Advent is that waiting and that preparing for the coming of the light, the coming of the Son of God. And so things right now, the sun isn't out as much. We know the life-giving power of the sun. So we wait for that return, just as we wait for the return of the Son of God. So I'm really appreciating Father Mike's Waiting Well series, even though it's just one day in. So but so far it has been great, and I look forward to more of the process. So I'll see you guys next time, and happy Advent, and I hope that you have a good Monday.